Jean-Léon Gérôme was one of the most influential artists of 19th century France, known for his skillful blend of historical themes, realism, and academic painting techniques. A leading figure in the academic art scene, Gérome's works captivated audiences with their meticulous detail, dramatic compositions, and exotic themes. His role in popularizing Orientalism and his distinct style made him a celebrated yet controversial figure in art history, especially as debates between traditional academic art and emerging modernist trends began to take shape. Gérome's career is a testament to the tensions and transformations within art during this period, marked by his steadfast commitment to historical accuracy and aesthetic discipline. Jean-Léon Gérôme was born on May 11, 1824, in the town of Vesoul, located in the Haute-Saône region of eastern France. He was raised in a middle-class family where his early life was relatively comfortable, and his parents were supportive of his intellectual and creative pursuits. From a young age, Gérome showed an inclination toward drawing and visual expression. His artistic talent was evident, and his family encouraged him to pursue formal training, a decision that would soon lead him on a journey to Paris, the heart of France's art world. At the age of 16, Gérome moved to Paris to study art, and in 1840 he entered the studio of Paul Delaroche, a respected academic painter known for his historical scenes and meticulous technique. Delaroche's studio was an ideal environment for Gérome, as it offered structured, classical training rooted in the ideals of academic painting. Delaroche emphasized the importance of anatomical accuracy, mastery of perspective, and a disciplined approach to artistic subjects, all of which would become cornerstones of Gérome's style. In 1844, Delaroche decided to close his studio temporarily, a move that initially disrupted Gérome's progress. However, Gérome remained committed to his studies, enrolling in the École de Beaux-Arts, France's premier art institution. There, he continued to refine his skills in drawing and composition, while developing an appreciation for the works of the Renaissance and classical antiquity. His interest in these historical periods would later inspire many of his own paintings, known for their historical accuracy and evocative depictions of distant cultures. In 1846, Gérome submitted a painting titled The Cockfight, Le Combat de Coqs, to the Salon, the official art exhibition of the Académie des Beaux-Arts. The Salon was the most prestigious platform for artists in France, and acceptance into this exhibition was a significant accomplishment for any artist hoping to make a name for themselves. The Cockfight, which depicted two young men engaged in a game of cockfighting, was a striking piece that showcased Gérome's skill in rendering human anatomy and composition with a balanced blend of realism and classical form. The painting was well received, earning Gérome a third-class medal and establishing him as a promising young artist within the academic art scene. Building on the success of the Cockfight, Gérome continued to produce works that emphasized historical and genre themes, presenting scenes from classical antiquity, biblical narratives, and historical events with the same level of precision and detail. His commitment to historical accuracy in both subject matter and setting was highly regarded by critics and audiences alike, who appreciated his dedication to capturing the essence of these periods in a manner that felt both authentic and accessible. Gérome's approach aligned closely with the academic principles championed by the Académie des Beaux-Arts, which valued technical mastery and adherence to classical standards. The neoclassical influence in Gérome's work became increasingly apparent as he gained recognition in the art world. The art scene in France at the time was heavily influenced by a revival of interest in classical art, known as neoclassicism. This movement emphasized harmony, order, and idealized forms drawn from Greco-Roman antiquity. Gérome's early works exemplified these qualities, as he strove to create balanced compositions and elegant forms reminiscent of classical sculpture. His paintings often featured idealized figures, draped in Grecian robes, or depicted in settings inspired by ancient Roman and Greek architecture. An essential element of Gérome's approach was his dedication to historical authenticity. He was known to conduct extensive research on the settings, costumes, and artifacts he depicted, often seeking guidance from archaeologists and historians to ensure that his representations were accurate. This meticulous attention to detail was especially significant in a time when the public was increasingly fascinated by exotic lands and historical subjects. Gérome's ability to transport viewers to ancient Rome, Greece, or the Middle East made his work not only visually compelling, but also intellectually enriching, offering audiences a glimpse into worlds that seemed both distant and tangible. The mid-19th century marked a pivotal period in Gérome's artistic journey, as he began to explore new themes and subjects inspired by his fascination with the exotic cultures of the Middle East. During this time, European interest in the Orient, a term used to refer broadly to the regions of North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, was at an all-time high. In France, Orientalism became a major art movement, fueled by colonial expansion, popular literature, and a growing curiosity about non-European lands. Gérome quickly emerged as one of the most prominent Orientalist painters, producing works that vividly captured his interpretations of Eastern landscapes, people, and customs. In 1856, Gérome embarked on his first journey to Egypt, an experience that would profoundly influence the rest of his career. He traveled with a group that included other artists and intellectuals, immersing himself in the landscapes, architecture, and daily life of the regions he visited. This exposure to Middle Eastern culture left an indelible mark on Gérome, who was captivated by the vibrant colors, distinctive architectural styles, and rich history of the locales he explored. His time in Egypt offered him the opportunity to observe a world that was vastly different from the European settings he was accustomed to depicting. Gérome's fascination with the Middle East was not purely aesthetic. He saw the region as a place imbued with history and myth, a subject that aligned with his academic commitment to historical and exotic themes. Upon his return to France, he began incorporating the architecture, dress, and traditions he had encountered into his paintings. His attention to detail extended to his Orientalist works, as he continued to research the settings and customs of the Middle East to ensure accuracy. This dedication earned him praise from critics and collectors who valued both his technical skill and his seemingly authentic depictions of Eastern life. Gérome's Orientalist paintings are characterized by their striking realism, vibrant color palette, and often dramatic compositions. One of his recurring themes was the depiction of everyday life in the Middle East, where he aimed to portray both the grandeur and the simplicity of local customs. His paintings featured bustling markets, serene landscapes, and interiors of mosques, as well as figures adorned in traditional clothing, meticulously rendered to capture their textures and colors. One of Gérome's notable works in this genre is The Snake Charmer, painted around 1879. This piece portrays a young snake charmer holding a serpent before an audience, seated against an intricate tiled wall. The scene is both exotic and mysterious, capturing the Western fascination with exotic customs. Gérome's use of color and intricate details, such as the tile's elaborate patterns and the textures of the figure's clothing, enhance the painting's authenticity and immersive quality. This work is often cited as one of the quintessential examples of Orientalist art, embodying both the allure and the complexities of representing foreign cultures through a European lens. Another key work, Prayer in the Mosque, highlights Gérome's ability to capture the solemn beauty of religious practices. In this painting, a group of men is depicted in prayer within the sacred space of a mosque, with the light filtering through the windows to illuminate the ornate architecture. Gérome's focus on detail, the patterned carpets, the carved pillars, and the reverent expressions of the worshippers, brings the scene to life, drawing viewers into a moment of spiritual devotion that feels both intimate and respectful. While Gérome's Orientalist works were celebrated for their technical mastery, they also sparked discussion and critique about the representation of foreign cultures. His approach to Orientalism was shaped by his position as a Western observer, and his works often presented an idealized, sometimes romanticized view of the East. Like many Orientalist artists of his time, Gérome portrayed Middle Eastern societies in ways that reflected European perceptions, emphasizing exoticism, mystery, and sensuality. This portrayal reinforced certain stereotypes, though Gérome's paintings were often marked by a degree of restraint and reverence, absent in more sensationalized Orientalist works. Critics of Gerome's time generally praised his work, admiring the accuracy of his architectural details and the rich storytelling within his compositions. His paintings sold well and were highly sought after by collectors, reflecting the growing European fascination with Orientalist themes. However, some modern scholars argue that Gerome's depictions contributed to a broader trend of cultural appropriation and oversimplification of Eastern societies. His paintings, while admired for their craftsmanship, are now also studied for the ways they reflect and reinforce 19th century Western attitudes toward the Middle East. Gerome's travels were not limited to Egypt. He continued to visit other regions in the Middle East, including Syria, Palestine, and Turkey, as well as North Africa. Each journey provided him with new inspirations and insights, allowing him to expand his repertoire of Orientalist themes. Gerome was known to sketch extensively during his travels, capturing scenes, landscapes, and architectural details that he would later incorporate into his paintings. His sketchbooks served as valuable references, enabling him to recreate these settings with remarkable accuracy. Gerome's Orientalist paintings became increasingly popular, securing his status as one of France's leading academic painters. However, his works also reflected a nuanced perspective that set him apart from other Orientalist artists. While his paintings often adhered to traditional European views of the Middle East, they also demonstrated a deep appreciation for the cultures he depicted. Gerome's portrayal of Eastern customs and landscapes was marked by a sense of admiration, and he avoided the overtly sensationalized imagery that characterized some Orientalist works. Instead, his paintings presented a more measured, almost documentary approach, balancing romanticism with respect for the cultures he represented. As Gerome's career progressed, he created some of the most iconic works of the 19th century, combining historical themes with a dramatic flair that captivated audiences. His technical precision and attention to detail allowed him to convey the grandeur and intensity of historical events, making his paintings both visually arresting and intellectually engaging. His work often centered on scenes from classical antiquity, historical moments, and dramatic narratives, each rendered with an intense focus on accuracy and visual storytelling. These qualities placed him at the forefront of academic art, as he became one of the most celebrated painters of his generation. One of Gerome's most famous and influential works is Pollice verso, painted in 1872. This painting depicts a violent and dramatic scene set in ancient Rome, where a victorious gladiator stands in the arena, awaiting the crowd's judgment on the fate of his defeated opponent. The term Pollice verso, meaning with a turned thumb, refers to the Roman gesture of judgment. In Gerome's painting, the crowd of spectators in the Colosseum, including the Roman emperor himself, can be seen giving the thumbs down signal, condemning the defeated gladiator to death. Gerome's portrayal of the Colosseum scene is both intense and meticulously researched, reflecting his commitment to historical authenticity. The arena is filled with onlookers dressed in Roman attire, and the architecture of the Colosseum is rendered in stunning detail. Gerome's use of color and light heightens the drama, with the red and gold of the victor's armor contrasting against the pale, defenseless form of his opponent on the ground. Pollice verso resonated with audiences not only for its visual impact, but also for its exploration of themes like power, violence, and the spectacle of death. The painting was widely praised and became an influential work in its own right, inspiring subsequent depictions of gladiatorial combat, including those in literature and film. In fact, director Ridley Scott cited Gerome's painting as a major influence on his 2000 film Gladiator, which features a similar thumbs-down gesture in its Colosseum scenes. Another of Gerome's renowned works is Phryne before the Areopagus, completed in 1861. This painting depicts a dramatic moment from ancient Greek history in which Phryne, a famous courtesan, is brought before the Athenian court on charges of impiety. According to legend, her defense attorney, Hyperades, dramatically removed her clothing to reveal her beauty, swaying the judges to acquit her. Gerome captures this moment of revelation with both theatricality and subtlety, focusing on the reactions of the judges who appear stunned by Phryne's unveiled form. The composition is carefully crafted, with Phryne standing as the focal point, her skin radiantly illuminated to emphasize her beauty and vulnerability. Gerome contrasts Phryne's serene, dignified pose with the varied expressions of the male judges, who seem captivated, shocked, or even disturbed by the sight before them. The setting, with its classical architecture and subdued color palette, adds a sense of timelessness to the scene. This painting exemplifies Gerome's skill in combining historical narrative with complex psychological drama. The piece was met with acclaim upon its debut at the Salon, where it sparked discussions about the role of beauty, morality, and the portrayal of the female body in art. Phryne before the Areopagus remains one of Gerome's most celebrated works, praised for its sophisticated handling of a controversial subject and its masterful composition. In The Death of Caesar, Gerome tackled one of history's most iconic moments, the assassination of Julius Caesar. Completed in 1867, this painting portrays the immediate aftermath of the assassination, with Caesar's lifeless body lying on the floor of the Senate, draped in a blood-stained toga. Around him, his assassins stand in silence, some looking down at his body while others begin to disperse from the scene. Gerome's approach to this subject is understated, yet powerful. Rather than focusing on the violence of the assassination, he depicts the tense stillness that follows the act, capturing the gravity of the moment with a restrained, almost clinical detachment. His choice to show the assassins in various states of calm or reflection adds a sense of ambiguity to the scene, inviting viewers to contemplate the motivations and consequences of their actions. The painting's use of light and shadow enhances the atmosphere, with Caesar's body illuminated in a way that draws the viewer's eye, while the surrounding figures are cast in darker tones. The Death of Caesar reflects Gerome's ability to bring a fresh perspective to historical subjects, moving beyond simple depictions of violence to explore the emotional and moral complexities of the event. This work is often cited as one of Gerome's masterpieces, showcasing his skill in evoking drama through subtlety and restraint. In the execution of Marshal Ney, Gerome turned his attention to a more recent historical event: the execution of Michel Ney, a prominent French marshal under Napoleon, who was executed in 1815 following Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo. Gerome's portrayal of the execution is stark and unsentimental, capturing Ney as he stands before a firing squad, his figure silhouetted against a bleak winter landscape. Unlike many of his other works, the execution of Marshal Ney has a minimalist quality, with few background details or extraneous figures. This simplicity heightens the focus on Ney and the tragedy of his fate, evoking a sense of isolation and finality. Gerome's choice to depict the scene without dramatization or embellishment reflects his commitment to historical accuracy, as well as his belief in allowing the gravity of the event to speak for itself. The painting was controversial at the time, as Ney was considered a hero by many in France, and Gerome's unsentimental approach to the subject was perceived as unpatriotic by some critics. However, the piece was also praised for its restraint and realism, qualities that underscored Gerome's dedication to presenting history without romanticization. The execution of Marshal Ney is often regarded as one of Gerome's most powerful works, demonstrating his ability to confront difficult subjects with integrity and skill. Another fascinating work is L'Exécution du Sultan, which portrays a scene inspired by Ottoman history. The painting depicts an execution within the Ottoman court, with a sultan overseeing the event from a raised platform. Gerome's meticulous attention to architectural details, costumes, and ceremonial objects creates an immersive portrayal of a foreign culture, reinforcing his commitment to accuracy in his Orientalist works. The painting combines elements of spectacle and solemnity, as Gerome contrasts the regal dignity of the Sultan with the tension of the execution below. His rendering of light, shadow, and textures adds a sense of depth and realism to the scene, inviting viewers to reflect on the dynamics of power, authority, and tradition. Like many of Gerome's Orientalist paintings, L'Exécution du Sultan was popular among audiences who appreciated its dramatic composition and exotic setting. This work exemplifies Gerome's approach to Orientalism, balancing historical detail with a fascination for the rituals and customs of non-European cultures. Across these major works, several recurring themes and techniques can be observed. Gérome's focus on historical accuracy is evident in his attention to costume, architecture, and cultural details. His compositions are carefully structured to direct the viewer's gaze, using elements such as lighting, color contrast, and positioning of figures to create focal points and emotional impact. Gérome's work also explores themes of power, justice, and morality, often presenting historical figures and events in ways that invite viewers to consider the ethical and human dimensions of these narratives. Additionally, Gérome's approach to perspective and depth allows him to create immersive scenes that draw viewers into the world of his paintings. His use of a restrained color palette and precise brushwork adds a sense of realism to his work, heightening the viewer's connection to the subject matter. These techniques cemented his reputation as a master of academic painting, whose works were as intellectually stimulating as they were visually striking. In the latter part of his career, Jean-Léon Gérôme became an influential figure not only through his artwork, but also as a prominent educator. Appointed as a professor at the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts in 1863, Gérôme quickly gained a reputation as a strict and demanding teacher. His classes were known for their rigorous focus on technical skill, particularly in drawing, anatomy, and classical forms. Gérôme was deeply committed to the principles of academic art, believing that a strong foundation in these skills was essential for producing meaningful and refined work. Gérome's teaching philosophy centered on discipline and precision, reflecting his own dedication to detail and historical accuracy. He encouraged his students to master the fundamentals of drawing and painting before attempting more complex compositions. To Gérome, art was not only a matter of personal expression, but also a discipline grounded in tradition and method. He pushed his students to strive for technical excellence, emphasizing the importance of understanding the human form and studying from life. Under Gérome's guidance, many of his students developed a high level of skill in figure drawing and classical painting. Some of his students, such as Odilon Redon and Thomas Eakins, went on to have successful careers of their own, albeit in different styles from their teacher. While Gérome's approach was sometimes criticized as conservative, he was widely respected for his ability to inspire dedication and perseverance in his students. His influence extended beyond technique, as he instilled in his students a strong work ethic and a respect for the discipline of art. As the 19th century drew to a close, Gérome found himself increasingly at odds with the changing art world. New movements, including Impressionism, Symbolism, and eventually Cubism, began to challenge the values of academic art, advocating for greater freedom of expression and experimentation. Gérome viewed these developments with suspicion and disapproval, believing that they threatened the standards of quality and discipline he valued. He was particularly critical of Impressionism, which he saw as a departure from the technical rigor and realism he championed. Gérome's opposition to Impressionism and other modernist trends made him a polarizing figure in the art world. While he retained the support of traditionalists who shared his appreciation for academic art, younger artists and critics began to view him as an emblem of the old guard.